Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. My name is Heidi. This is episode 22, and you can find me as Knitty Girl on Ravelry and Plurk and Knitty Girl 1 on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. And I'm actually getting pretty warm, so let me go ahead and show you the shawl that I have on so I can take it off. This is the Summer in Angiers shawl by Elizabeth Green Musselman, and I finished it and I blocked it, and it came out really beautiful. I wore it for Worldwide Knit in Public Day, and I got a lot of compliments on it. People especially like the touch of the pendant beads on the bottom of the shawl, and I have to say I agree with that too. I think that really adds a lot to the shawl, makes it look a little bit more elegant, or a little bit different. So let me sit up a little bit so you can see how it looks. This is the way I like to wear it. Or I can put the this over the front. But you don't really need a shawl pin, because you can adjust it so that it will stay on by itself without a shawl pin. So, okay, now I can take that off because it's warm. Alright, before I start talking about my works in progress, I wanted to say thank you to Yarning for a Smile for the iTunes review. I'm really happy that now I have 3 written reviews and I think 5 or 6 star reviews. And what I'm going to do for in the next month, in July, during the month of July, and I'm going to also give it to the people that I know already who have given me reviews. You're all going to get a coupon code, and I'm not going to tell you what the percentage is, but it's going to be better than what I usually give in the shop. So I'm going to start giving coupon codes to anybody who writes a review. Anyway, I also wanted to say thank you to the Sampler Girl and also to Two Tangled Skeins. They both mentioned me on their podcasts. They're both podcasts that I watch or listen to. The Sampler Girl is an audio podcast, and Tanya Marie is the host. And then Two Tangled Skeins is 2 different people that are in it, and I think they're varied lately. Just from the comments I've been seeing on the boards, on the Ravelry boards, I think that normally she has a different co-host than she has right now. So there's usually 2 people, though. There are a couple episodes where there was 1 person, but they usually have 2 people on that podcast as well. So thank you to you guys as well. I'll go ahead and, I wanted to say that next week is going to be my podiversary. It'll be the 1-year anniversary of when I started the podcast. I started my shop in June of last year, so that's been a year already. But I started the podcast July 1st of last year, so I'm going to go ahead and have a contest for that. I'm going to open up the Ravelry thread, and I showed you guys last week the gradient, the pink gradient that I did, and I'm going to do a bunch of gradients. What I do is I'd make a tube and then I dye it. And I'm curious to see what kind of gradients or progressives you guys would be interested in. So I'm going to open up the Podiversary thread, and I want y'all to write in the Podiversary thread what gradient you'd be interested in seeing in the shop. And I'm going to draw from that thread. I'm going to keep it open for 2 weeks, and I'm going to draw from that thread 2 weeks from now, and the winner will get a pattern of $7 or less giftable from Ravelry. So go ahead. I'm going to have 2 contests going then. Why don't I go ahead and show you guys what I've been working on. Since I finished that shawl, I have mostly worked on my socks that I showed you last week, the hand-spun socks. Here's the first one. I had finished the first one last week. I'm still working on the second one. I've been doing a lot of dyeing, so haven't been doing as much knitting. And I kind of wish, it's too bad, this one, the gradient, it kind of changed colors more gradually, but here there's like a big jump from this color, these colors, the yellow and the blue, to suddenly it's yellow and pink, so that's a big big difference. The blue is really light here, or the yellow is really light here, and light pink, so it's not as much of a gradual change, but it's still going to be cool. And they're really, really warm and squishy, so those are going to be really nice. And that is in my Zoe's bag. I think I showed you guys this before. And I also I got out some things that have been in hibernation, since I'm going to be working on a shawl design, which all I've done so far is wind the yarn for the project. So I didn't really want to start anything new because I didn't want to be distracted with new things from my my design. So I pulled out some things I've been working on. I was working on before that were in hibernation. And this one, I think you guys might, I don't remember, I think I showed you guys this towards the beginning of the podcast, maybe the first couple episodes. This is some yarn that I dyed. It's recycled yarn, and I dyed it in a gradient using a tutorial on, I think it was on YouTube. I don't think I would normally, after seeing how it's knitting up, I don't think that's the best way to dye a gradient, but it was an interesting way, you know. I used food coloring for this. You can see the changes are gradual, but it's not the same as what I quite expected. I didn't expect there to be so much white. But I like it, and I'm going to finish the shawl because I'm more than halfway through. And this is the Rustic Autumn Shawl, and it's by Knit Pearl Girl. Her name was Carrie. And it's a top-down shawl, so here's the top, and I'm knitting towards the bottom, and I'm not too far. You can't, well, I'll pull it down a little bit more. I need to do about 3 or 4 repeats of the part that's charted, and I think I'm on the 2nd repeat, so I probably won't have too much longer. I think I'll have enough yarn for the shawl. I'm kind of curious to see how this ends up. I think it was Carrie Steinmetz who did this shawl. And then I'm also working on, I pulled this out again. This is a tank top that I was working on a long time ago, and I know this I showed way at the beginning of the episode. And this, I don't know why it printed out. I can't even tell you who it's by. It's a very basic tank. It's a tunic. And for some reason when it printed out, it's like gobbledygook. The pattern printed out fine, but you can't see the name of the person who wrote it. You can't read it, and you can't read the name of the pattern. So I'll have to write that down for the next time on the podcast, but you can look on my pattern page because it's back to a work in progress. I haven't done much on it. I'm to the point where I had to separate for the front and back, you know, do the armholes. And the bottom yarn is Fiddle Knits, and the top yarn is Knit Picks Fedora. Knit Picks Fedora, and I believe, yes, it's in it's stroll fingering in the Fedora colorway. So this is at the bottom. There's a split right here on each side. See, on each side there's a split. And then this I knit up to where the armholes are, and then I'm going to separate. I started separating, and then I have to go up a needle or down a needle size for it to, you know, kind of start shaping. And so that's where I am on that. So I have 2 things that I pulled out of hibernation, which is good because I have a lot of projects over here, and sometimes I'm looking for needles and I don't remember where they are. And then I go buy more needles, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing. So those are the things I'm working on. I didn't get any spinning done because I've done mostly dyeing. This past week we saw How to Train Your Dragon. That was really cute, and it was also a really cool movie. I liked it because I like dragons. You can see I've got my dragon earrings on for Game of Thrones. And I want a toothless. I wrote on Plurk that I wanted to get a stuffy toothless, and Kagi TM of the high fiber diet said she wanted a real toothless. I said, yeah, that would be cool. Anyway, it was a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's got enough to keep an adult interested in it too. It was good. And the other thing I did is I went to the Worldwide Knit in Public Day. We had it on Sunday at our Whole Foods up here. And I wore my shawl. And when I walked in, I hadn't seen a lot of the people in the knitting group for a while. And somebody said, "Hey, where you been, fashion plate?" I guess they like my shawl. So anyway, that was fun. There were a lot of us there. Over 20 people, I believe, were there, and I did post a picture on Instagram of that. It was really nice to catch up with people, and that Whole Foods is nice. They have a nice big area upstairs, and it's all windows on that side, so we had really good light for knitting. And the other thing I've been doing is a lot of dyeing, and I'm really excited about that. That's kind of my full-time thing right now. That's a nice thing I have. I work part-time for the schools, and so during the school year I'm part-time dyeing, part-time at work, but then in the summer I can just do dyeing, which is great. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the reason I started dyeing. Ever since I started knitting in 2006, and I was like, this is it. This is the passion. This is what I've been looking for. I always wanted to do something, have something to do with knitting, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And then when I started like just experimenting with dyeing with Kool-Aid and food coloring, and I was having these really amazing results, and I was getting a lot of good feedback. So I decided to try it. I decided I might as well try it because it's something that I wanted to do, and I had the time to do it, so I started last summer. And I also wanted to do it because I wasn't seeing a lot of colors that I liked being dyed up. I know a lot of people don't like orange or yellow, and so those were some of the first colors that I wanted to dye, and I made them variegated. And the orange that I used in this shawl, the Summer and Angier shawl, the Eye of Sauron color, it came out exactly like I wanted it. I mean, when I was knitting it up, I was so happy with it. I loved it. And I also have been using a lot of bright colors like the fluorescent pinks and the greens, and found some other fluorescent colors, and I really enjoyed doing that. And it's kind of neat now to see that there are other indie dyers who are starting to use more neon and bright colors, and some colors that are similar to what I've been doing. So that's kind of exciting. And I know that even the commercial dyers now are not dyers, but the commercial companies, the ones that put out the commercial yarns, are getting into the fluorescent colors. So it's kind of neat to see that. I feel like, maybe I inspired somebody. I don't know. And the other reason I wanted to do it is because I've had really good experience with most of the people that I've bought from on Etsy or from indie dyers, but there were times when I was disappointed, and I wanted to make sure that if I make a mistake on what I'm dyeing, or if I don't have it right away to send, or if it's going to take me a little extra time, that I wanted to make sure that I contacted people and let them know, either something went wrong. Do you want, here's a picture of it, is this okay with you, or do you want me to re-dye it? Or if it's not in the shop yet and I have to wait for the base to come in, I'll let them know, it might take a little longer than expected because, and let them know the reason. Because I've been disappointed. There were times when I didn't get things for a while, and then I would try to contact people and I wouldn't get an answer back, or I'd get an answer back, oh, it's coming soon. Well, I kind of wanted to know if I spent my money. I wanted to know when it was coming, So anyway, that was important to me. I want to make sure that that I communicate with my customers and that we have a good feedback system going. Anyway, I wanted to talk about my contest that's going on also go ahead and talk about the contest that's going on in the group. It's knit all the things, and it's really knit or crochet all the things. Whatever you knit or crochet that you finish in the months of June and July, you can put in that thread. And I'm offering 4 prizes. One will be a prize. The prize will be a skein of my yarn of your choice from my shop. Another prize will be a $10 or less pattern. Another prize will be the Op Art sock book that I showed last week. Let's see if I have it nearby. If I don't, no, I don't. But I have a link to it in the thread in the Ravelry group. I have a link to the Op Art sock book, and you can take a look at it on Ravelry and see what the patterns are that are in the book. And I also am offering up a skein of yarn by Fresh from the Cauldron, and I should have that right behind me. Oh, I don't know where it is. No, I don't have it behind me. I did show it last week, though. If you want to go back and look at the podcast from last week, it's a gradient yarn, and it's got blues and grays and browns in it. And like I said, that's the only one I'm willing to part with. I'm not willing to part with any of my other Fresh from the Cauldron yarn. But I wanted y'all to have another really nice prize. So those are the prizes, and we have a lot of people in the thread, and you can post as many times for as many projects as you finish. So each time you finish a project, you can post an entry. And there are some people who've already posted about 3 or 4 entries. So y'all, if you're knitting for like Stash Dash or Summer of Socks or for any other podcast, you can also enter in my group. I don't mind if you want to double, triple, whatever dip. It works for me as long as you finish it. It doesn't matter even when you started it. As long as you finish it in June or July, you can post it in the thread. And you can post as many of your finished objects as you have. So that's exciting. And before I get into the shop stuff, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about a couple of podcasts that I've been watching. There's a new podcast called Rock and Pearl. And, oh, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But I believe she's Rock and Pearl on Instagram. And she's a designer, and she was living overseas, and she's just recently moved to California. And she talks a lot about her designs. In one of her episodes, she gave a coupon code for one of her patterns, and I went ahead and purchased it because it's really cute. It's a summer top. And she talks about the design process. She's going to be talking about tech editing. She talks about yarns from different companies. She talks about basically designing. And she's designing for a lot of different companies, and different companies have given her things. So she does have giveaways as well. So I would check her out if you're interested in the design process or different yarns or how things work with yarn companies. I think that would be a really good podcast to check out. I'm enjoying watching it. I think she's up to her 3rd episode. That one just went up today. I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen her first couple episodes. And then I also have been watching Fiber Trek TV, which is really cool because they talk a lot about different fibers. And there's a co-host who's there sometimes, and she seems to like... I didn't watch it from the beginning, so I'm not sure where it's coming from, but she's also talking about wildlife. She talked about coyotes, and she talked about mountain lions. I'm not sure if she's talking about stuff. I guess she's talking about stuff in their area. But the thing that's interesting about them is that they are going to be making, I'm not sure if it's a movie or a film. They're filming different things about different fibers, and they're from Maine, and I believe that they are involved in the Highland on the Flies retreat that is run by Katie of Knitting on the Fly and Heather of Highland Handmaids. So I think they're all from the same area. But it's really interesting because they talk about things other than just what they're knitting. They are also talking about like the outdoors and also about farming and different things like that. So I would check that one out too. I enjoy podcasts where I learn new things, so those have been very interesting to watch. Now I can go ahead and get into the dyeing. If y'all are hopefully Still have plenty of you around. I'd like to talk about, I have a new base, and my new base is a sport weight yarn, and it is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And I believe it's 274 yards. And I've dyed up a couple of things that are already in the shop. One of them I still have to post, but I dyed up the Hokamutu food, which is basically the neon green skeins. So these are available in the new base, which is called the Witch base. And I also dyed up some self-striping. Where is the Freddy? Let me show you this one first, because this one, oh, here it is. I dyed up Freddy. This one came out kind of tonal. So the reds are tonal reds, and it's tonal like black and charcoal with little pops of white. So this is a tonal, this will be a tonal stripe. And then I also dyed up Every Day is Halloween, and this one has a mistake in it, so this one's going to be discounted. This one has, on some of the transition rounds, some of the colors mixed together, so there'll be some variegation in some of the stripes, which I think will look cool, but it's not what it's supposed to be. So this one will be discounted. I haven't put it up yet, but this one's going to be on a discount already. And you can still use the coupon code in my shop until July 30th. And the coupon code is Schools Out, all one word, all in caps, and no apostrophe. So you can use that for 15% off, and that's good until the end of the month, which is soon. And I also wanted to show you, here's a new colorway that I dyed up the other day. This is called Bruised. And this one is before I skeined it. This is what it looked like right out of the dye pot. These are different purples, shades of purple, and it's still got some natural in it. And this is what it looks like reskeined. And I'm trying to post both if I have time to reskein, so you can see the way they look. And the interesting thing is, I have had questions. When I posted, I think it was the Mellifer, I had the same kind of picture, and I had somebody ask me which one is the posting for, and I said they're the same. So when you see these things together, this is the same color. That's why it's put in the same picture. But this one is what it looks like reskeined, and a lot of people say that that gives you a more representative idea of what it's going to knit up like. But this is what it looks like right after it's dyed. So you can see what they look like together. And this one is called Bruised. And I am very excited that I'm trying a lot of new things, and I'm going to be coming, I just dyed up another self-striping. This one's a 4-stripe, and it's drying right now, so I can't show it yet, but I'll have another one up in the shop soon. So, yeah, go ahead, and I'm going to open that Podiversary thread after I get this uploaded, and let me know what gradients you'd like to see. It can be a gradient or a progressive. I'd like to get some ideas of what kind of things you guys would like to see in the shop. And at this point, I'm probably going to try to do them the way that I did the intestines gradient, where well, if it's a gradient, I'll do that. If it's a progressive, I may do it like I did the Pennywise gradient. But either way, it should knit up the same. It's just a matter of how I decide to dye it. And I hope to hear from you guys. And with that, I'm going to say get busy knitting or get busy dyeing.